Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Partnerships with Purpose podcast. We're going to explore ways to engage communities through service learning projects and research. I'm Cedric Schei with the Texas Target Communities Program at Texas A&M University. We're hoping these stories will highlight and inspire more community-engaged partnerships. So today we have Dr. Galen D. Newman. He's a professor, and he's the head of Department of Landscape Architecture and Urban Planning at Texas A&M. He's a fellow of the Society of Landscape Architects. He's got over 130 publications and over 73 million probably in research funding at this point, whenever I kind of pulled that from your website.
Yeah.
And he specializes in urban regeneration and flood resilience. And I think Galen's greatest strength is that he can make a joke in any scenario. I've seen so many quiet, kind of lifeless meetings, and then Galen goes up, and every time he's going to crack a joke, and it's going to land every single time. I think that's your greatest strength.
Well, those are strategically played. A lot of times I will set myself up. You guys don't know that I'm setting myself up to hit you with these jokes. So
I notice it. And I think it's like
you can tell when the setup's coming.
Yes, I'm like, it's coming, and everyone's going to laugh, and the room's going to be a little bit lighter.
Yeah, I think sometimes they just laugh because I'm the department head. Right?
Yeah.
They feel like they need to, but I'm not really that funny.
No, I think you are. So yeah, but before we get into some of your work, when you develop tons of solutions to local problems, and you just do a lot of work in communities and landscape architecture. Tell us a little bit how you got there. How did you end up being a department head here in Texas A&M?
Yeah, no, it was an epic saga, I would say, right? A lot of people, when they hear landscape architecture, you don't grow up. You don't grow up or come out of the womb saying, "Hey, I want to be a landscape architect." Most people don't know what that is. And honestly, this is similar to community planning or city planning or urban and regional planner, whatever you want to call it. Growing up in rural Alabama, obviously, always had a soft side for the environment and those types of things. And I actually had a colleague of mine who I'll get into in a bit. His son was a landscape architect. That's how I got introduced to what the profession was. Actually, at a young age, when a lot of people are saying, I want to be a fireman or a police officer or something. I always said I wanted to be an architect when I was young, just I guess maybe because I could draw. Then as I got older, and as you said, I really got into the more making people laugh scene, I kind of I moved towards maybe wanting to be a cartoonist for a while. And then I kind of went more from the drawing side into pure comedy side, in the sense that I wanted to be the guy that made commercials. I wanted to be like funny commercials. So I actually started, my first major was in film and broadcasting.
Cool.
And yeah. And then I found out that really wasn't the right path, I think, for making commercials, which I ended up obviously not doing. Then I went into marketing, and I said, well, that's more I think financial math and those types of things than what I wanted. Ultimately, I ended up switching from marketing into landscape architecture. They only had a master's. It was like a 3-3 setup. So you started your master's program at the start of your fourth year of your undergrad. And that's where I also learned about urban planning, community planning there. I took a lot of community planning classes at Auburn. They had a dual degree, so I ended up getting a master's in planning and landscape architecture there. So I talk about the landscape architect that showed me what landscape architecture was. Actually, interestingly enough, his father, I used to, growing up, his father lived maybe 5-6 miles from me, but I used to weed eat around his pond and do all this yard work for him on the weekends to make some side money so I could buy some Nikes, stuff like that. He actually won the lottery. He won like $7 million in the lottery, and that's actually how I ended up going to college to get my undergraduate degree. He helped me along the way to kind of pay for some of those things. So I wouldn't be here without that family for sure.
That's the
obviously
most
my
fitting
whole family.
Galen Newman story I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's true. So I went to Clemson, got my PhD there. I worked there for a year after I graduated as a visiting assistant professor. Then I landed a job at A&M. I was moving to Texas A&M, okay, and I had packed up everything I had in a U-Haul and I was pulling it behind this old Ford Ranger. And I didn't have a lot, so it was a small U-Haul. But my radiator went out, okay? And and so I'm parked down the side of the road. It was like late Sunday afternoon, and I said, oh, man, what am I going to do? I don't know. At the time, I didn't know what was happening. I just knew the truck was running hot. I jumped in the truck, drove to AutoZone, and I'm standing in line. I was like, I'm just going to ask them, could they come out here and look at this thing? And I got up to the front of the line, and I was like, hey, my radiator or something's messed up. My truck's running hot. Can someone come out here and look at it and tell me what I need? Guy behind me taps me and says, hey, I just quit my job at the Ford dealership. I was a mechanic there for 30 years. I'm starting my own business. You can be my first customer.
No way.
I'm not kidding. So he goes outside and it's like, oh, you got a crack in your radiator. He says, I still have my Ford card. I can get the part for you for what Ford pays, and I can get it overnighted for free.
Oh my God.
I said, okay, that sounds great. So, anyways, we get all that done, and he said there's a hotel a half mile down the road, so we fill my truck up. I drive. So I'm standing in line at this hotel. And it's me and this like an 85-year-old DiGiorno truck driver standing behind me, this lady. And we finally get up to get our rooms, or try to get a room, and I got the last room. And the lady starts crying because I guess she needed a room real bad. Man. And so I see her crying. I look down, and somebody just did something good for me, right? Yeah. So I look down, I squint my eyes.
I gotta give it to her.
Well, not necessarily that. I said, I asked the guy, I said, how many beds in this room I just got? And he said, there's 2. And I looked at the ground. I look over at this lady. I said, do you swear you won't kill me? and she said, I won't kill you, And I said, okay. And I shared a room with this 85-year-old DiGiorno truck driver. And she's a pretty nice lady. She bought me Sonic. And then I woke up the next morning, not murdered. So that was good.
Yeah, you still here?
Yeah, still here. And anyways, then the guy comes and picks me up and fixes my truck. I mean, we had no hiccups whatsoever. The part came in, he put it on, tells me no charge. And
wow. So, man, talk about selfless service.
Because people helping people, right?
Yeah. and when you were making your way down here, to be a professor?
Yeah. I was started here as an assistant professor, then got promoted to associate with tenure. I'll tell you some of the roles I did. Now I'm full professor and department head, but along the way I've been a lot of different roles. I coordinated the Bachelor of Science in Urban and Regional Planning program for a few years, and the Bachelor of Landscape Architecture program as well for another few years. I was Shannon Van Zant's associate department head for 3-4 years. I was director of the Center for Housing and Urban Development for 4 or 5 years, and actually associate director of the Hazard Reduction and Recovery Center for a couple of years. A lot of different administrative roles, so I'm certainly lucky and blessed to be head of such a great department with such a great lineage and history. And I was lucky enough to step into a seat that already had a strong culture built. My charge was to not only sustain that culture but try to advance it. And I certainly had some big shoes to fill. All the people, but in particular, the ones that had the most influence on me, obviously, Forster in the BC, Shannon Van Zant, the 2 department heads before me. So
as you're getting these masters and PhDs, what about the world of planning and landscape architecture just kind of stuck with you? What was it that made you want to go, I'm going to keep doing this?
Yeah, I think it was similar to the stuff I do now. Especially the planning side of things opened my eyes to how much impact and influence you could have on actual societies and communities and create real positive change. Just the notion of being able to not only help communities, neighborhoods, people, and put them in a better situation, but also, larger scale things and issues facing the globe and the nation and those types of things. We can help solve a lot of different problems at multiple scales, whether it be, doing research to try to advance, resilience initiatives or those types of things, or creating, prevention, intervention strategies to help communities with certain issues. I mean, to me, that's what the main thing should be about. How do we make positive change? Or as the College of Architecture would say, like, how do we build a better world, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, you don't build that just sitting in an isolated booth like we are right now, right? You got to be on the ground, and you got to be, they know, community members know what's wrong or what the sources of the issues are much more than we do. All you got to do is talk to them, and they're pretty open about what's going on and what they think is causing it, and they want somebody to listen to them and help them fix these things,
Yeah. So a little bit before you were a professor at A&M, were you able to work with communities in your PhD?
I think, so I taught as well while I was getting my PhD at Clemson, but we did a lot of, when I was at Auburn, we did a lot of service learning projects through our studios, and we worked with different communities on things. And then when I went to Clemson, same kind of thing, just a little bit more mountainy or hilly, right? Clemson. And so, I moved to Texas, living in Auburn and living in Clemson, two college towns with similar cultures. There wasn't a huge culture shock here. Yeah. I like to say it's a little flatter here and the trees don't grow quite as tall, but the culture is pretty similar. The people are very good in all these places. And when you're around good people, you want to help good people. So I kind of tried to continue that throughout my whole career. Yeah.
So coming into A&M, what do you feel like you took with you? What do you feel like you brought with you from Auburn and Clemson?
I think the ability, over time, the ability to kind of come out of my shell and interact much more, I don't know the exact word, but I'd say come out of my shell and not be so reserved around people. I would say it's almost like teaching, right? If you don't have you got to have a certain degree of courage to teach, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to do engagement work, you got to amplify that courage even higher, right? Yeah. So I think that skill was developed as I moved up through my educational pipeline and those types of things. And I think when I got to A&M, it just amplified, because I will say Texas A&M, especially LAUP, I don't think anyone does more engagement or better engagement than this unit, not just on the campus, but around the nation. And we have so many people that are doing that type of work. You can't help but learn from them, right? Yeah. And they have these connections, and they put you in these situations, and they kind of force you to kind of learn more. But there's so many people that are great at it. I try to be a sponge and really watch what's going on, how they do it, and learn from them. And, I had a lot of assistants and mentors along the way that kind of helped me develop the skills. And now I try to do the same thing with a lot of the students that I have, or some of the junior faculty to come in. And you guys always help along the way. You guys, I'm still learning from all y'all. You guys are, top notch at it. And I don't think I'll ever be as good as you. But no. But I also add, one of the things that I was probably hired for was my skills in visualization techniques and those types of things. So, that type of thing is an art of how do you take something someone says and not just make a map out of it, but make something that is digestible to the lay person, but also could be used for scientific purposes later. There's an art to kind of developing a system where you can develop feedback loops between communities and academics, which is very difficult because we as academics tend to, I think, speak our own language sometimes, and community members can give you that look. That look I'm talking about, like, man, you don't want that look. To me, there's an art to making complex data, complex information digestible to neighborhood members so they can understand, okay, and then they can use that to go after money to help fix their own problems. That's my take on it. Hopefully that answers your question.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I've seen that firsthand. I've seen the looks, and I've seen also the positive looks of
You
them.
see,
someone
yeah,
hitting.
the good looks.
I've seen the good ones and the bad ones for
and
sure.
that look.
Yeah, and I've also been the one looking like, well, I don't understand this at all.
Yeah, and I've been the one with that look, and I'll be presenting the information like I don't understand what I'm presenting, so I don't know how they would, So yeah.
That's great. Well, so we're just gonna keep moving. So tell us a little bit about, right now you're a department head of landscape architecture and urban planning. You kind of had tons of mentors and tons of people shape and mold you, and you kind of just kept stuck around here.
Yeah.
And now you're leading the thing. So what does that look like? You teach and you go to meetings all day? Like, what's that?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot more meetings. I heard someone higher up than me say one time has to be a strong correlation between number of meetings and how much you get paid. So I don't know if it's worth the pay with all the meetings, but So I'm still held to a teaching research service standard. Obviously, the ratios are different when it comes to teaching, and I mean I got a lot more service now with all the admin roles, but. As department head, I think the number one things we do are put out fires as early as we can. You don't want them to get too big, so sooner you can put. There's 10 million things that are. When I say put out fires, from small things to big things, we have to react to problems as they come. Every day is a new adventure. That's one of the things I enjoy about it. Honestly, you don't know what's going to pop up on your email or who's going to come in your office and say X, Y, or Z. So that makes it fun because every day is unique. But so I think that's one thing. I think, one of the main things you have to do as a department head is, especially in our fields, which aren't commonly known what we do, right? They may know of these fields, but you have to be a strong advocate for the disciplines that we work in, especially, not only to people, neighborhoods that we work with and those types of things, but people within the college and above the college and those types of things.
That's great. Yeah. Something I definitely have seen from staff being at all staff meetings is you do a really good job at really putting on your other staff members and showcasing the awards we've won and the things that we're doing. I was like, you really try to champion this like landscape architecture, community engaged.
Well, that's gracious of you, man. That's gracious of you to say. I think little things like that go a long way. And the awards that I champion that you guys get are big. Mm-hmm. But, not everybody keeps I try to keep a running list, and I hope, people report, hey, I won this, or I got that, or my student did this. I try to keep up with it as best I can. Inevitably, sometimes I miss some, but I wish people would report more, right? Yeah. I have so many great faculty doing and staff that are doing, and students. They're doing great things, and some of them are so humble they never want to tell me what they're doing,
Well, I see it, like I said, as a staffer, I feel like you really speak highly about us. And I also didn't realize that you've worked on almost every little note of in landscape archecture.
Oh yeah, in the department. You mean?
Yeah, so you kind of have a different point of view being a leader now.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, everybody loves Thina, right?
Yeah.
So Thina is similar in that regard. She's held so many different staff roles that she definitely wouldn't be as successful as we are without her. And Debbie and Shani and all you guys. But I'm talking about just in the LAUP office. She does a great job of mentoring our staff on those sides of things because she's served in so many of those roles. Yeah,
that's great, man. It's great that people stick around long enough to kind of be able to be that influence. So I want to talk a little bit about your work, your research, man.
Sure.
I feel like every poster I see Dr. Newman.
Well, yeah, we do a lot of posters for sure.
Yeah, and something that we've kind of talked about beforehand is you work a lot with these things called fence line communities. Stick around for part 2. Dr. Newman's going to teach us all about fence line communities and his work he's done across Texas. If you'd like to learn more about our program, check out our Instagram at TAMUTXTC or head on over to our website, tx.ag/TXTC. Stay tuned for more.